This video is going to be about Shadow of Chernobyl mainly, being the game with the most cut content of all three, and development difficulties. Shadow of Chernobyl, clearly one of the most anticipated games of all time, has gone through a lot of changes until 2007, when it was finally released. These constant transformations in its development led to a lot of stuff to be cut out, including locations. Let's journey together into the depths of the forgotten alpha builds of Shadow of Chernobyl, and not only. First of all, it's easy to see many spots on the PDA in the vanilla version where certain locations could have been. Let's start with one of the most important one, Dead City. Once abandoned, Dead City is now filled with mercenaries and bandits who are now claiming it as their secret base. The square has one of the most haunting landscapes of all the locations in the game. It contains few spots and culture buildings, the Communist Party headquarters, and of course, an eerie statue of Lenin. We also got a school, some decrepit single homes and garages. That city is located between Yantar and Limansk. The most notable characters are Dushman and Borzish, who are the leaders of the mercenaries and bandits. These mercenaries are truly menacing, equipped with exoskeletons and proficient assault rifles, so tread lightly. That city can be located in the earlier builds of Shadow of Chernobyl, most notably build 1935, where it has a fair amount of detail and it is explorable. In build 1935, the Dead City is a very active area containing many zombies, as well as bloodsuckers, boars, flesh, blind dogs, pseudo-dogs, and a fair amount of stalkers. Obviously, this was not how Dead City was going to appear in the final game. Dead City was supposed to be shared between mercenaries and bandits. Dead City was supposed to be very relevant regarding the plot of Shadow of Chernobyl. Dr. was being held captive here, and S.T.A.L.K.E.R was captured and brought to Dead City. A dialogue compilation exists for the level, which can be located in the game's files, alongside various textures and a character configuration file. Also, at the army warehouses behind Lukash, one can see a map of Dead City. If the player looks to the left top corner, they can see an arrow that points to the left of the map and writing Dead City in Russian. This points to a conclusion that Dead City was intended to be put in the game, but never made it into the final product. According to the dialogue leftovers, the Dead City was supposed to be a part of the storyline where Mark I would learn from Doc his true identity as S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and Doc would give S.T.A.L.K.E.R the key to the Pripyat safe house. In the final game, the Mark I is given both his true identity and the key to the Pripyat hotel by Doc in the Agroprom underground after recovering the documents from X-16 and speaking to Guy. It is a pretty big area which has one of the most depressing atmospheres ever encountered, in a good stalker way. Generators is explorable in build 1935 and can be accessed only by crossing the bridge in the vicinity of the power plant and heading east. The location contains large, sphere-shaped generators which are positioned around an unknown antenna. These generators are the main cause for the infamous emissions and a necessary component during the existence of DC consciousness. Each generator is positioned right in front of what appears to be an anomaly field, although anomalies are not present in any of these fields. This level also contains the entrance to War Lab, which appears in Call of Pripyat under the name of Lab X8, and its location was moved to Pripyat. There aren't many encounters with people or mutants, the area being mostly empty. Powerful mutants such as the pseudo-giant can be found here and the occasional intrepid stalker. There are few anomalies in the area, mainly electro-anomalies and a few gravitational anomalies. A narrow valley shaped roughly like a crescent moon, it connects the southern edge of Dark Valley with the abandoned tunnel in the Cordon. Roads lead out of the area, south and east, although where they exactly lead is unknown. It is a densely forested area with few landmarks, however, several of them stand out. At the end of the most narrow part of the valley lies a collapsed train bridge, part of the railway that passes through Cardon and the Great Swamp. Further to the south, the road separates before a hill. To the southwest, deep in the wilderness, lies an abandoned farmhouse, stripped bare of everything. The main road continues to a crossroad, next to which lies an abandoned gas station. From there, the road leads west, directly to the Cardon. This level was supposed to be a fast-paced escape scenario where the player attempts to outrun the pursuing hind and fight through enemy soldiers on the way in order to reach the road back to Cardon. Groups of Ukrainian soldiers would attack the player on the way, blocking the way with makeshift roadblocks and attempting to take out the vehicle with RPG launchers. On the way, the player would be able to switch vehicles if his current one became too damaged. You would have to fight bandits. Also, some zombie stalkers were supposed to be hanging around in the petrol station and around it. The level is available in build 2571. It disappeared from the game when vehicles were cut, although it can still be clearly seen on the overhead map of this zone in Shadow of Chernobyl. In fact, when exiting the Dark Valley, the player is immediately placed in the Cardon, although relative to the exit from the valley, it's a completely different location. One can assume that he simply travels through it off-screen. The whole level is a long road running through a forest. The terrain is reddish and the road itself is bent a few times rather than being perfect straight. Internally named K03 Milrad, it was a vehicle test map to see how vehicles behaved on turns and straights. As one can imagine, the map itself would be a connecting level between military warehouses and radar. Dead Mill was a location cut from S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl during the early beta phase, along with Milrad and Darkscape. Dead Mill is a very long road running through the countryside. The map is cut in half by a hill, with a long tunnel going through it. The map was supposed to be a connector map between Dead City and military warehouses. It was supposed to be traversed by car because of the sheer length. Since cars were scraped, the map followed. Under the stacks of old metal scrap is a door, which leads to a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel is a small room one can easily stand in, with parts of old broken machinery jutting out of the walls. One truck's engine is still working and provides electricity to operate lamps in the room. Inside there is also a mattress, a makeshift table, and a stool. It's a nice cozy place, used by the legendary Black Digger as a shelter from blowouts and storms. This damaged railway bridge that spanned the Pripyat River was supposed to act as a connector between the map Catacombs 1, what became Limansk Hospital finally, and the entrance to Agroprom Underground on the other bank. The cartographer's hut is a location in a small Orthodox church on a small hill on an island, surrounded by water and thick fog. Three silhouettes can be seen in the mist, while a small wooden bridge leads across a torrent of water into the domain of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. A makeshift radio antenna is located on the dome of the chapel, resembling a TV antenna. It's certainly one of the strangest locations in the zone. Old Cardon used to have a lot more detailed nature landscapes that were later simplified into what we have now. The villages are completely different. They were less populated and a lot more suffocated by the environment. Instead of the building we have in the vanilla game, there's an industrial factory where bandits shelter themselves. In addition, there are also a couple of synfolks right after the bridge. Old Garbage, despite not having the car park, it has a lot more detail and a few new areas, including a small tunnel which leads to some kind of bunker. Old Swamp should have been integrated into Shadow of Chernobyl, but ended up in Clear Sky, and Pripyat Underground should have been in Clear Sky, and it's now in Call of Pripyat. Lab X7 was only mentioned, but never seen. Hope we didn't miss anything. If we did, please comment below. Regarding the video about cut weapons, we won't make it because there's already something on YouTube, and we highly recommend it. You can check it out by clicking in the top corner. We love what the community has given us to this point, and we want to give a big thank you for the support. If we can reach 1000 subscribers, that would be amazing. Check out our Facebook page and newly made Discord server. But until then, good hunting, Stalker.